welcome to Big Conversations by Ordinary People, Nick.
Thanks, Mark.
Basically, this is a sit-down conversation. I set it up to sit down with my friends, and now, luckily enough, you're one of my friends and you're here. Usually now it has been a lot of other people that have seen it online and asked you to come on, business people. But entirely the aim is to, have a conversation with friends where maybe if someone listens in, they can pick something, or us, we have fun with it.
Sure.
Yes, but I start with you introducing yourself. In your introduction, it's usually just not you telling us your name, because I've actually already said your name, but what you want the world out there to know about you. But also from that is how I pick the direction of
the conversation.
Yes.
Perfect.
So it's your go.
Okay. First of all, thanks, Mark, for the invite. This is literally the first time I'm speaking to a public. I
agree.
I hope no one sees this, but okay. Anyway, I'm Nixon Kahuka. I'm a project manager. I am certified in project management. I'm a finance master as well. So, but right now I'm more into technology. I love technology. I've pivoted my entire career from statistics to technology. So, of late I've been studying things like software development certifications, IT project management, and it's exciting for me. I love what I do.
Yeah.
I love what I do, and I wish everyone embraced technology the way I do. I met a guy one time who said, if you want to fuck up, can we cuss?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is a Big People podcast. You speak with mind.
Like if you want to fuck up, Nick, you just take away the internet. That's where you will break me, because I've managed to integrate so many parts of my life. I love automation. I was listening to a podcast. I love podcasts, by the way, so much. I love them when I'm driving to and from work. So this one time I listened to a podcast. It's called Acquired. You should try it out. You're a technology guy. You'll love it. Very wonderful storytellers. Yeah.
I definitely am going to check it out. Actually, just write it down,
Acquired FM.
Yeah.
Brilliant. So the one of the former founders, I think it was of TSMC, he was teaching maybe at a school, and he said, if you have to do a task more than twice, don't do it again. Yeah. And that's sort of my driving.
Yeah, it's quite
philosophy.
interesting because speaking of just even having conversations, I have seen the Joe Rogan podcast has the version of AI that is automated. So what it does is it sits down, but the AI version of him, and it imagines, say, because he has conversations with people who are dead but greats, like say Steve Jobs, what?
Yeah.
So he sits down, has a conversation with Steve Jobs, but as of 2025.
Wow.
Things happening.
That's
so
interesting. Let me see. Which version is it?
JRA AI podcast. It's actually there.
Because I've been listening to Joe.
Now go to,
I've been listening to the Experience.
Yeah, I saw it. I think
He invites some really wonderful people.
The Experience, I think, inspired this one.
It's Joe.
Yeah, JRE with AI, I think. And let me just go to my podcast thing, and because I'm already subscribed to it. And check. So yeah, that's what it does. It's basically he's sitting.
Okay. I don't know why my podcast app is not showing it. Once you reach it, please just share a link with me.
Yeah, we'll definitely send that link. I can actually send it.
Yeah.
So there's that. There's automation. I've seen it. Joe Rogan AI. Let me share it. I've just dropped a conversation with Andrew Tate. I think it's about his political vision. But now this is typically.
That will bang. Oh boy. So yeah, I don't know if there's anything I've left out about myself, but we'll catch on as well.
Yeah, I've dropped it in your WhatsApp.
Perfect.
So it's just amazing. But when you look back, And now you've said you're into this, learning thing and adding on.
Yeah.
When you look back to how also education has been affected by technology, right now we have YouTube, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel it's okay? Of course, it's not about how you feel, but it's definitely an ad. But do you feel that is there is now? Do you feel like YouTube is a better substitute from the old version of how the school sitting? Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's better because both sides have their benefits. The virtual side is good because it gives you a more customized approach to what you're studying, and the fact that it's open to the world. That's really wonderful. I love when things are open to people.
Information out there.
We don't need to be putting padlocks on information. But then the other part, from a human perspective, you want kids to interact with each other. It's the only way they are going to live with each other afterwards. Because if your kid is locked up in your house for the whole term, he has no people skills. And those are things that technology can't replace. You can't...
So, are you saying technology, with all its advancement, is going to take away some bit of human interaction?
Definitely, it does. It does.
I feel like it improves it, right?
No. There is some sort of organic type of interaction that you want. Like, I know you, Mark, we've been...
Yeah, we used to hang out and have the games come together, weekends.
Do you think we can have any single conversation like that on text? No. Or even video chat?
No.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, it breaks away some barriers, but also it creates others.
Sure.
So I think the approach is to look at better ways of integrating technology into reality.
How do you integrate yourself? Like, how do you keep the humanity beat so that you do not lose touch with, connecting daily people?
I think for the parts where I don't have a human connection, for the parts, for example, if I'm traveling, if I'm away and I want to talk to my mom, we could deploy virtual reality stuff, and I have a better experience. Like, I love the Meta Ray-Bans. I was supposed to get them for myself, but January fucked up.
It has been such a long one. People cry about January, but this one has been special for me. It has been so
How was it 5 weeks? 5 weeks is 35 days.
Yo, it has been so long. Go away.
I know it's very funny when your birthday is in it.
Your birthday is in January. So there are two lucky people. There are those who have their birthday on fast. I think those ones enjoy.
They enjoy, yeah. There's still some loose cash.
Yes, there's loose cash. They're also still into a whole family setting, and it's a public holiday. So definitely people will celebrate you.
Yeah.
There will be more reason for people to celebrate you. But if it's not, it just gets...
So I was talking about the material bands. I think that's a very nice way to integrate technology into lifestyle. Because if I'm away from my mom, because the barrier is maybe distance.
Yeah.
Because you have to work, you have to do this and that. But if we both have Meta Ray-Bans, we just go into a WhatsApp call and it's virtually almost real. So...
does she show up? I have not seen... So I've seen the Apple, the Vision Pros, right? And their experience. But they're almost like a VR things, which I've seen. But the Meta Ray-Bans... How is the interaction?
It's exactly how you see the Vision Pro. It's the same user experience. I think the Meta Ray-Bans are actually way better because of
they're not so heavy. They're just Ray-Bans, right?
They're portable. They're just Ray-Bans, and there's so many. It's also open source, so there's going to be billions of applications built on there. So we're going to find very, very much better solutions on there.
I feel like we're going to get so lost in these applications and all this software. How, say, the screen has made it easier, you know? It really, really washes away human interaction. Say, even just, relationships, sex, people would rather, there's an increase consumption of porn because it's easier
Yes, to access
on the screen and not bother with the whole process of let me buy this and this and go through that. Then you move on. Say playing games, staying home, everything is literally on your phone. It makes us loners. Don't you feel like we're just going to become...
Definitely. You see, Mark, as humanity, we are on a trajectory heading to a dystopia, whether we like it or not. We're going into automated worlds. We're going into... Like I said, if the more we find that if I have to do something more than twice, I just automate it. So things like meetings, we're going to automate them. Then we'll become machines.
No, but meetings should be automated.
Exactly.
I feel like people set up meetings
for no reason. Yeah, that's the thing.
As a KPI, everyone is a morning meeting every day. And like, what are we doing with these morning meetings?
Exactly. I don't know. It's irritating. Like you don't need to have so
many checks.
Yeah.
I also don't.
And we have, especially now in our workplaces, we have
all these tools, where you can track progress
literally,
of work.
You walk around with the whole job.
Agreed. Slack, ClickUp makes you can keep tasks can be managed.
Virtually, and you reduce the whole game of telephone, the whole game of he didn't come, so he didn't do this.
Do you feel like that the Gen Zs are going to have it better? Like because of course heads of departments will be.
I think actually, I had this somewhere which was a bit funny to me. The jobs that should be replaced by AI are CEO jobs.
I agree.
Because
they're management jobs, right?
It's
overseeing all through.
The only value creation is use information being fed to you by people to make a decision. That's a mathematical function. You can automate that. Yeah. So the Gen Zs they're going to be. But it's also
because there's also this new reality of working from home, so you don't need to go into office spaces. But I do not entirely support that. I feel like we need to meet people.
It depends on the school of thought you're coming from.
I still think you need to meet people. Okay,
definitely.
Some people work better alone, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like the value of teamwork should not be.
Shouldn't you just categorize tasks that require you to be isolated and tasks that require you to be with people and put like a sort of distinction. So if I'm going to do work, if the work doesn't require input from other people, then let me do it for this number of hours, and at time T, go meet these people. Yeah, but you see, even this can be. We can find solutions around it. I saw a movie where therapy was automated.
That would be cool.
Exactly.
Because I feel like going to see someone is a bit of a stretch, right? But if I have to, there's some sort of.
Besides, there is a possibility that the therapist is human being, so clearly he's living the human experience. He has problems. So what if you don't? And there are those chances of lack of objectivity. Stuff like that. What do they call that word? Putting your experience on someone. You get. So all these things can be achieved if we have the right attitude and we are responsible enough to not deploy these things in the bad behaviors like hurting people, stealing people's money and stuff.
But how do we control that? Because again, they're bad people, right?
Yes.
You cannot wash them away.
And they're equally developing with us.
Exactly. They're coexisting in us, using the same technology with us. So all these advantages still also feed into, like the large language models. So do you feel like they're making us lazy?
GPT. It's not. There is so many things we should be doing.
Because truly, right, I could, sit down and write a few articles whenever I felt like.
Yes.
But right now, instead of writing, I would rather go and prompt my thoughts, and then it will bring for me the whole essay.
Yeah, but don't you think that has saved you time from looking for books in libraries and dusty stuff?
Yeah, but then how don't you feel like
you have more
my
time,
mind is lazy?
You have more time to do other things. Think about it.
But then, to do what other things? If I had to write...
Yeah. If your job is to write,
then I should be able to think Like I am making my mind lazy by because there's this model that has all this data and can give me a quick.
I don't think you're making your mind lazy. Like, if I'm going to write a paper and it's due tomorrow, okay, whichever date, it doesn't matter. Then I managed to get these resources from a large language model. The job of you, the writer, is to actually review what it's giving you. But if you're lazy and you just pick whatever, definitely they've built tools to.
But we trust it so much that oftentimes we feel like whatever I take away from the LLM is the absolute truth, right?
You
Whenever
shouldn't.
you prompt,
You shouldn't.
How do you then not trust it?
You see, now that's where that's the other stuff we have to do, where you have to use your intuition, your thought, because LLM can give you up to even 8 responses for the same question.
Actually, whenever you type in the same question, it gives you a different response.
So it means it's still very young in thought. It's a very.
And DeepSeek is here though. It feels like it's thinking because it breaks down
how it has moved. But that's just how we used to do math. Show you're working. There's no value added there. The only value added is it's open source. You can easily integrate it.
But it's showing you, it's giving you the working, so you basically understand. Other than say Gemini, where it will just throw for you an answer you get. Here it helps you understand how to arrive to an answer.
Okay, so that's more reasonable.
Yeah,
that's one way to learn. That's one way to learn, instead of just throwing answers at me. Show me where you got them, how you arrived at that. I think that's really nice. That's really brilliant. But then at the end of the day, you cannot replace the human intuition. It's hard to program. So when you read some of these things and you write a paper, but then you also go back to the older papers that have been written and you compare, if I was this person, how would I write this? So that's the point of research. But I would rather do the search engine than an LLM, because this one is just a thing that is reading word after word after word. So it has no logical thinking to go and pick the best source material that I want. No, it's just throwing words at. So it's still very young.
Right now you're saying search engine for you gives the better approach to finding solutions.
So I think if you use the search engine, you get tangible source material.
Where you also have to use your humanistic
So now,
select
what if you got the source material and you give it to the LLM? Then you tell it to synthesize exactly what you're achieving. You get. So one, you're still relevant to whatever topic you're focusing on, and it's not going to randomly pick stuff from a very large database. You've given it a specific cloud of parameters. Focus on only this and give me what I want. That saved you time. You didn't have to read 20 pages of all these articles.
Do you think we're ever going to unplug from all this and just be, this is like our typical new normal? Also because, the mental health impact, I'll just tell you, say, social media can be fun, but then sometimes it gets very overwhelming, There's so much going on, and there's this whole facet of things, then, the internet, you feel like everyone else is having it right by themselves, but then you have to live by it. So there are these sessions where I would get personally, and I take breaks away. But sometimes I feel good about the break. Sometimes I'm like, it's actually pointless. Everyone else is connected. So do you feel like there's a time where you can just unplug and go into some other world? Or this is what we have to deal with for forever? Do you even imagine the time before the internet?
Right? I didn't know what I would do with my hands. I can't imagine what I used to do with my hands, because I think about 60% of my day is on the phone.
I mean, in fact, it's almost 90% of the day is on the phone.
90% of the day, your eyes are looking at some sort of screen. So those days, I look at what these tools enable us to do. That's from a good side. I look at them, but now, like you brought in the element of mental illnesses and mental health. it's on you to have the thought process and say, hey, this thing is at this point is no longer giving me value, or it's just taking away value. But you can't expect everyone to have that ability to think that way. So, isn't it?
It takes time. It's like process to, learn from your experiences and see that there's so much value I'm giving away with.
Yeah, it's very so. I would have said it's on you to really like manage how these things affect you, but also you can't put that on everyone. They are kids;
Sure.
they can't think that far. So
and also the addiction aspect. Some people are now there because they're just addicted. They've not yet realized because they think addiction is tied to just things like alcohol or what. So, but they're just addicted to the phone. Someone wouldn't stay without the internet.
Yeah, so it's difficult, but then that's where we need things like regulation. We need things like responsible development. Some of these things have just been dropped on a large scale without without looking forward on what does it mean. You saw what happened to Facebook around 2014, around there, where they would spend months in court. I think they didn't anticipate issues like that, people using it as a threat tool and stuff.
Yeah, so when I was coming, WhatsApp sent me a thing where I was supposed to do a survey for them, and in this survey they're asking a lot about data protection. Do you feel like WhatsApp is protecting your data? Do you feel we're giving it away? Things like they're more advanced, but
now that's the responsible development I'm talking about, because we used to build. I think back in the day, systems were built from starting with the system. And I think what has changed at least in my years of life, we are moving towards first at the person, then create a system or automate. It's more person-centric than just running away from hard tasks and stuff. So that could help if we focus on the person first. Yeah, but anyway, speaking from here, these are things that maybe someone will hear what I'm saying and pick any value, but I don't see how we can influence these big boys with our opinions. But
well, we influence the next person so that they know and how they regulate themselves.
Yeah.
Then the ethics part of it. Yeah, now AI has their deep fakes. I can literally, forge the person you are and your voice. Recently, I've been seeing Universal Studio, I think, has an issue with AI and the voice thing, where because now you can shoot a movie without actually casting.
Yes, definitely.
Things like that. So talent and talent management has the copyright fight. Then so studios are saying AI should be paying for copyright because they're replicating people's voices, mostly famous people. So there's that ethics part to it. Do you feel like creators are being cheated? Because right now I can. You remember that Azawi Radio Moses song?
Yeah.
What was that called?
It was.
They have recreated
who would you give an award if that song won a Grammy? Who would you give it to?
That's a big question.
Those are questions that I've not been.
Apart from the fact that we lost radio, may his soul rest in peace. Say the person was still coexisting. Would it be okay for them to take the credit for their AI version?
It's not okay. It's not okay. The people have to be appreciated for
work done.
For work, good work has to be appreciated at the end of the day. So the tricky question is how do you intervene?
But you can't. There's literally zero control.
It's difficult.
Because just look, this is why we have been fighting about the copyright. The musicians have been fighting about copyright for forever. It's almost impossible. Someone will get your song and they will play it in their home, and you can only regulate some.
It's really difficult. I'm trying to think about it. How do you stop? How do you intervene there?
You don't. You actually can't.
So then, how do we appreciate good work?
I feel like the AI companies should be able to reimburse the originators, right? The official creators, some sort of payment, some sort of fee. It shouldn't be for free.
Isn't that very expensive? Imagine.
But they make us money.
Yes.
They're publishing to the world. So
No, I'm thinking about a simple use case. Nick is seated in his house and creates a replica of an actor and makes maybe a skit and just throws it on TikTok.
then
But-
makes millions of that.
Then my TikTok pays me.
Yes.
First of all, how do you charge me for that?
Well, by first of all flagging you because I feel like you have replicated me in this case, but it's still a police case. in this case.
Okay, but how do you tell that? Okay, unless you build detectors in things like these
In the
platforms.
algorithms that they will detect, yes, YouTube has the thing. So if I upload my podcast, it's on my channel and you re-upload it, it will send me a buzzer. That's
Okay.
this same content because it has a really strong listening algorithm, so and it
Oh.
differentiates. So there is that. I think TikTok, because this was the issue by the way, TikTok, creatives had with TikTok in
Yes.
the beginning.
TikTok
the
was the
music is
problem.
being used and it uploads, some account goes viral, then the person getting money is not the actual creator. So that is actual theft. You're stealing
Yes.
away from someone's craft and reusing it for your own benefit. So there is that. But now here where you have created from scratch because the option is available and you've created another version of, in your skit, since you're a filmmaker, in your skit you've created an actor who is almost like the real actor, right? Because you can't also just animate someone.
Yes.
Their voice, all those things. Someone has worked hard to get where they are. They've got all this recognition, and now you from nowhere, you feel like it's okay to just benefit off that.
I think that approach helps if I have a mechanism that can be able to tell that.
Well, I think YouTube is good with it, but also what they can do is to inform the person. I don't think they can do so much in terms of flagging you off. It's really a process.
Auntie, when you see now the challenge I see is there's like over 7 billion creatives. Are you going to
Exactly.
even if you inform me that your content has been replicated somewhere? Do I go to Uganda and look for? That's very expensive. Yeah. What if TikTok picks money off your content?
That is what YouTube does. So if it lets you publish what is not yours,
Whatever
it informs
you
you
earn
that whatever you earn
is
goes
shared.
to yes, not shared, goes to the other person, so that you know which is good. But TikTok doesn't do that.
Well, it's going to happen. If it has been
definitely
put somewhere, it's going to happen. Oh, bro. Anyway, that's me and technology. I get excited whenever I see a new invention. I'm like, yes, someone has done some good work. We've done good work, but now we are in the age where we want to do awesome work.
Don't you feel like we're also losing authenticity? Things are not really us. It's just these AI tools that have large data that are just going on about the thing. So there's no like actual
Creation.
creation. Like most of the things, it's not really you creating.
Yeah.
Because now even just paintings, there are all these tools that can just draw for you the paintings. Actually, when you opt in, there's a picture on the studio. We used AI to create it because we've been shooting a short film that night in Kampala last week. So, but we needed to do a sitting room. So we used AI to create the picture, and then we took a picture. We cut off the guy's head, photoshopped it onto the thing. It was a political drama, but now the picture you'll see it when you're moving out. So there's that, right? Right now, there's the isness of things, how life has been simplified by technology. But maybe this is life is supposed to be this simple.
It has to be simple. Life is already hard as it is. You get?
True.
It's already hard as it is. So the easier you make it for me to do these mundane activities that...
Better.
Yeah, they're better for me. So there's creativity in that as well. When you come to think about it, there's creativity in removing the repetitive stuff, and so for example, this is something that I personally did. I was at work. I just started my current job, so we had this a process where I would write official letters to other entities, but they needed reference numbers. But we needed a format that was uniform and cannot be replicated in a way.
Yeah.
So guess what I did? I thought about it as like, okay, GPT, let's talk. So I'm like, first of all, give me a development approach. It gives me a development. I've never done software development at this point. Write the code, give me resources to deploy it, and I deployed this thing. And the moment I gave it to my colleagues, they were like, damn, this is actually really useful. So just because I no longer need to literally write the code and organize all these resources and put them together, I can just call the machine to pull these things already for me. My creativity came from seeing a new problem, and I was like, I can automate that, even if I don't know how, but now I can do that. So there's that thing, that other layer of creativity that we shall get. We're getting
added
there.
on to it. It feels like, if you're already a creative person, you're at an advantage because
yes, you go to another layer of creativity, which is really awesome. So I think technology cannot replace 100% of humanity, but it's a really, really, really wonderful enabler.
But don't you also feel automation will increase inequality?
You see,
The gap?
Inequality, yes, it does. Because there's people who don't have access to these things.
And yet, the ones who have are advancing
so much faster. You can't catch up. So there's that. And that's where now regulation and responsible development have to come in. Our leaders have to really think.
It should come from like government level where there's maximum inclusion of everyone. So that's
government level, people who have influence in society, even as far as religious people, they should be able to guide the masses that, guys, don't be afraid of this. Or if you have this sort of tool, let's use it to help these people. Let's go to the villages and give people water, give people access to power. Because now we are evolving a lot quicker than them, and we're going to leave them behind. And
I was watching a podcast. So Elon Musk was saying the USA can be, if they were serious, the whole of it can be powered by the sun, right? Because the sun releases about, I think, is it 4 million, 40 million? I think it's 4 million tons per second of energy, and that can be utilized if they get to better batteries and what. Then I thought about it as like, oh, this man wants to power the whole country when people down here are still struggling with just power.
Well, I'm actually having a lot of fun. I thought by now I would be done. I would be done. Yeah. So
that bit of, inequality and it worries me, right?
It's a very big problem. It's a very big problem if the people in decision-making positions don't apprehend it.
I'm seeing a push here, but I just feel like it's people in the private sector who are trying to push for some sort of agency on AI inclusion. But then, however much that could be needed, I feel like it's too early for us as a third world.
Yeah.
People still have other mainstream problems that should be dealt with
first. Yes, we still have people getting malaria. Why are people getting malaria and dying of it in 2025? There are those problems that we first need to apprehend, but the inequality thing is a big mess coming up.
So if you had the power to control technology's trajectory, what would you prioritize?
First of all, I would,
here in a third world country like ours,
in Uganda,
what would you prioritize? Would it be at least first? Of course, given that hypothetically everyone would first have internet, so you would make sure internet access is
first of all, it's already a human right.
Well, I think there's so many people should start suing the government here.
It's already a human right, so that's already the first implementation you should be thinking about. Yeah, then you have to, first of all, you still have people without power. And power is basically the driving force of any society. You need energy. And we still have gaps in energy production.
Yeah.
Why not focus on that? You have resources like the sun.
Why not focus on that? Why aren't they really
Because
giving
if
so
you-
much attention to solar? You know?
Yeah, if you have energy in society, this is now everyone has access to a device that can help them improve their
Yeah.
so and they can power it consistently. So first focus on energy production. I think this is what countries like China and Japan focused on. If you have a consistent supply of energy, whichever form of energy, but as long as people have energy in terms of heat, lighting, water,
Yeah.
water
It feels like the
saturation.
basics solved,
Yeah.
and
When you look at it mathematically, it looks like energy is the fundamental start.
of life.
Yeah.
Like, you need energy is what you need to actually live.
Yeah, you get energy first. Then on top of that, you can now integrate health, you can integrate education, you can integrate all these things. Because, and then, okay, anyway, energy first, then the internet, but we said it's a human right, so that one is a given. Then you go upwards. I think that's what I would do. But disclaimer, I'm no expert in anything.
Truly, and this is
I'm an
not-
expert in screwing up my life.
This is no expert talk, by the way. Yeah, so that's the other advantage was why we do this. Is to
Yeah, so
Not
these are really thoughts that I wish to share with the world, and thanks for giving me a platform. I have a weakness. I don't know how to talk to people.
I think you're talking to me. But also, in this era where we are trying to embrace technology at its peak, there's the moral compass of things.
Yeah.
There's this sudden rise of OnlyFans where people make millions of nudity and that and because the end goal is money. Money is easily the most important
Perfect.
thing, right?
Perfect.
But where does that leave society
You see,
and its morality?
morality in society has always been a very fragile thing. we though without technology, it has always been fragile. We had prostitution in medieval times. Does that mean the minds that created prostitution will go away because there is technology? No. You see, don't you think that morality question comes up from people who have had an advantage, and now this advantage is being encroached on, but through non-conventional methods that they don't know about? Because, and please don't quote me, I have no problem with a girl going on screen, get naked and get paid. The end game,
So someone is doing it for free.
yeah, but there's people doing it for free, but she's getting paid. I'm not saying that's right. I'm just saying it's a means of getting money.
And it should be embraced.
No,
And
not
we should
necessarily.
be okay with it.
No, look at what caused all that. Look at what matters. What matters is getting money and living a comfortable life at the end of the day.
So in this case, the internet acts as some sort of
it's
equalizer.
it's an enabler, yes.
But also equalizer to life. You can catch up.
Because in our capitalistic world,
yes.
you can't get jobs, not the formal jobs. You have to go unconventional. You have to find different ways of acquiring a living.
Yeah.
And that's why TikTok creators are having a great time, because they have access to the internet. Now that means the real video creators they're now angry.
That's so true.
Instead of adapting, there is
I'll just give you an example. Look at Kasuko, right?
yeah.
So we started doing his thing with us, with our studios. Back then it was still in Chisasi. But moving around with all these cameras would have been complicated for him. So he just zeroed down to just using his phone.
His phone, yeah.
But he actually really makes a shitload of money to YouTube.
Exactly.
A shitload.
And yet other tabloid people refused to adapt. That's the Nokia Kodak story.
Yeah. But Nokia did everything.
No,
It just failed. I remember that was the speech their CEO did said. The man said, we have done everything and we have failed. This is what failure looks like.
no, that's
Because they also introduced smartphones, right? They went
they
with that
introduced
technology. Yes.
smartphones, but didn't their smartphone have Windows?
Yes, they had Windows.
Do you know how disturbing Windows was as a phone?
BlackBerry also died out.
Yeah.
But why? Why was it disturbing? I didn't have a
Windows
problem with
was a terrible UX. It had a terrible UX. You see, Android was so customer facing. It was designed focusing on ease of
user
use.
experience.
Yes. And then lack of developers. Windows didn't have developers. It took Windows about 5 years
some apps
to get WhatsApp.
True. I remember that. Windows
exactly.
WhatsApp,
all these things. By the time someone looks at this, it's a very simple decision. Screw whatever you guys are doing. It looks sophisticated and all. But me, I just want a fucking text. That's all I need. So you don't have to. Then Windows was never designed as a mobile platform. It was never.
It was supposed to stay desktop, right?
It's generally you see from inception of Microsoft, Windows was always an enterprise tool.
Yeah.
So it was not designed for in consumer usage like individuals. I think they started giving people personal PCs much later after, but they were designing software for people. So there's that culture that will never leave a company. So, and that's where these people they fail to adapt. There's a book I had from that podcast Acquired, Hamilton Helmer. He wrote a book, The Seven Powers of Business. A brilliant book. I love it so much. It's the best way, actually, you will hear a lot of it on Acquired.
Yeah.
The best way to evaluate a business or even a person. So it has 7 powers, and these powers are, I might not recite all of them, but there are things like counter positioning. So this is what companies like Android did. They counter positioned their platform to be customer facing, more customer facing than enterprise facing. And that's how they came away. They swept the market with mobile.
I've heard China is creating its own operating system.
Is there anything China isn't creating?
Yeah, because they're at the whole battle with Apple and the USA. So they want...
They're creating everything. Obviously.
We should be... What do you think about China anyway?
I'm not worried about China.
You're not worried about China?
I'm not worried about China.
I feel like you should be worried. First of all, you're Ugandan. You should, by all means, be worried about China. China is at some point going to own us,
Okay.
It's going to...
What's the definition of ownership?
I mean, they're going to be calling the shots. They'll be electing our presidents. They'll be taking our decisions because they feel like they're doing everything for us now.
Well, don't you think that's the same thing happening right now? Just because it's not China. Exactly. That's the problem.
See that.
They are still happening. So it doesn't matter. It's inevitable. And Dave Chappelle was like, the reason China is going to beat them is because everyone in America is racist. And everyone in China is Chinese. So the same applies. Everyone in Africa has some sort of sovereignty leading. There's like 56 sovereign bodies in Africa, and in China there's only one. So decisions are made centrally, and they are spread out. Here, everyone makes their different decision.
I think that's also why Uganda as a country, there is some sort of... We're never on the same page on things. There's so many things.
Even at Uganda, even in Uganda as a whole.
So
exactly.
Always on. They're on this. To bring us all together in one agreement is such a hard task.
The people in the West don't want to eat chicken because they think chicken is poor people food. The people in the East are like, God damn, chicken is a banger. So consensus is very hard to reach. Mark, let's land this plane.
So, sure?
Yeah.
Let me conclude with this football question because I didn't skip it. VR.
Yeah.
Was it a plus?
VR is a plus.
But I feel like it took away from the instinct, the fun of the game.
Oh, the VR implemented rightly is totally a wonderful thing.
But, I mean, what made football quite interesting was that mystery of,
But you see that
we can get away. Luck can actually work in your favor.
But now United has 7 trophies that don't look like they should have won them. So, so there's that. Yeah. So to solve that problem,
Nick is an Arsenal fan, guys.
I'm not an Arsenal fan.
You're
I'm
not.
a Liverpool fan.
Yeah, you're Liverpool actually. Yeah.
Dude, Arsenal fans don't look this good.
They're stressed for life.
They're going to beat me up.
Anyhow, as we conclude,
Yeah.
where do you think this is leading, really? Do you feel like it's some sort of utopian
Utopia is dead. We're going to dystopia.
dystopia?
The opposite. So we are going into now. There are countries like Japan where things like suicide rates are going up.
I know, man. I'm mad.
Yeah.
But I've also seen this. I think it's a TikTok on Japan, and my dad spent a lot of time in Japan. I'll try and ask him how it was then. But yeah, some guy was saying that things they don't tell you about going to live in Japan. That's hectic.
Yeah.
What's happening there?
You see, that's the problem with overly developing and technology, digitizing everything. I think it's possible in Japan. You could live in this house and you'd never hear a sound outside. Do you see how that changes your psyche? It's quiet. And I don't think we are designed to be in quiet, confined spaces.
That's interesting. You need to experience it to understand how dangerous it can be.
I don't know how it is, but
Yes.
I remember my friend Elijah was there for the Olympics, and unfortunately, it was even much worse. It was during the COVID lockdown.
Yeah.
So imagine how depressing it was. They look from the pictures you see. The streets are wonderful. They have very good infrastructure. It looks like a very beautiful place, but then you hear news like people killing themselves. It's because there is that human part that you can never put on paper. Like,
And the more you're in a space, the more you're
of
fighting with
solitude,
your
you're
thoughts.
fighting with your thoughts.
And the mind is a very dangerous place.
So there's those two things. There is that human part that can never be quantified, and also there are those human problems that can never also be quantified. So and I think these two cancel each other out. I think.
Yeah.
So when you take away one, I think it becomes overwhelming with these problems, because in Japan you study, they are very structured. It's like a machine with just moving parts. You wake up, go to work, leave work, go to do this. They force you to go on vacation, so that means that vacation is not authentic. You get, not in your heart. It's planned, so whether something, for example, what if you scheduled vacation for June and maybe in May you had a baby? Yeah, do you take your baby to the jungle because it is scheduled, and if you miss it, you can't make any other. So that sort of.
Wait, in Japan it's also one baby policy, right?
I think they've changed that because they're dying off quite.
Yes,
I think they changed that.
They're encouraging more babies.
Yeah, so there's that sort of an unpredictability about life that also keeps us alive, like keeps us going. You don't know whether you're going to walk out there and someone's going to knock you down, but you're excited to go. But then if you know, even if I do what, nothing will happen. So in a nutshell, I love technology, but I think we
should draw a balance.
There has to be a balance on how we push it into our lives. But we should also adapt. We should also be happy for it, as much as we are very cautious, because both sides of the coin are developing at the same rate. So, yeah, but it's exciting. I love it. I enjoy finding new developments, new ideas from people. There's so many wonderful people you listen to on these podcasts. So you're like, wow. I wish everyone had access to this stuff like me, or had the enthusiasm. And I know there's also things people do, things you do that you wish I did. So when we have platforms like these, that's where we share. Unfortunately, once you share this in a tweet, it's going to be covered up by 43 Arsenal fans crying over a ref. So
I hear you so much. Like how it will be misconstructed will just be wild.
Yes,
right?
You get.
So it needs this type of interaction, and I feel like the social media took this away from us.
Yeah,
you're interacting where you're just there to listen to someone and engage. Right now, it's always let me clap back. If it's not clapping back, really, it's let me record to show that I am
Or
one of
is,
the better.
where is trying to find a reason to be angry.
But social media is designed like that. The negative things, somehow even in the
but that's not social media only. Even back in the day when we didn't have these things, Bukede News would sell more than the New Vision.
Agreed.
Because it had
even Agatari Komfu when it came through,
it
spiral up
because it's controversial, and I think that's a trait in humanity. The bad news is always better.
Negativity. Nick,
yeah.
Lastly, I have to ask you this.
Sure.
What sort of legacy are you trying to leave for yourself as you live, but also expecting to die?
Yeah, definitely. The other day I was celebrating my birthday. I was like, God damn, these numbers are major.
It has to hit you.
These are major numbers. First of all, what I learn, most of the things I listen to, I learn from them. Okay, when you hear something new, first there are two things that should happen. First, you should enjoy it.
Yeah.
Then two, you should ask yourself, what does this mean in my position? From the life I see around me right now, if I'm able to simplify the life of even one person at any one moment in life, if I can just make your day even a little easier, I'll be a very happy person. So that's the sort of legacy I look at myself as. In the strategic end, I will provide a solution to a problem.
Yeah.
It may not be for the whole world. It may be a solution to a problem of maybe Mark or just one person. But I know that if I made that person's life a little bit easier, then I'm good. Yeah.
Thank you, man. Thank you for being
here. Yeah, man. Thanks, Mark, for hosting me. It was really, really wonderful.
Yeah, it is fun to have this conversation. Because, we've never really had such a conversation. It has always been other things, what we see trending online, stuff
really?
like that. Yeah. So this is beautiful. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.